What is up, guys? Happy Monday. So, got a banger video for you today. As you probably know, like I don't do any scripts. I don't do anything like that. Although I probably should, if it's gonna be a more involved video. But for more stream of conscious videos, I just love like getting on here and just talking to you guys about like something that's been on my mind. So, what I want to communicate in this video, especially if you're gonna be watching this on a Monday when it goes out, is stressing the importance of taking control of your life. And this is something that I had to come to terms with very recently because I was looking at what I was doing in my life. And although I'm putting out effort, although I'm reaching for my potential, I'm just not doing enough because I'm just looking at gaps in my day. I'm like, where did that time go? And I look at my screen time. I'm like, oh, like I spent like 40 minutes on Instagram just like doing nothing. It wasn't even posting content. It wasn't like reaching out to anyone. It wasn't like signing up a client or anything like that. It was just me just wasting time just because I had this gap in my day, and that's just like it's just unacceptable. And at every point in your life, you want to look at where you're falling short, and it's always going to come back to how you're using your time. It's really just as simple as that. But before I get into more tactical stuff, I want to kind of set the frame, set the stage for what I want to communicate in this video. If you're a man in your 30s, um, you have, I don't want to say limited time because we don't know how much time we have left. Only Allah, only God knows that. Today could be my last day, it could be your last day. We have no control over that. But what you have to understand is that as you move into your 30s, as you move into a stage where everything becomes more mature and you take on those responsibilities and those things in your life which you could put off, you can't put off anymore just because that's what you've taken on in life. Maybe you have responsibilities, maybe you have a wife, kids, payments, bills, all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff becomes more real now. As a man, you've probably done some things very very right in your 20s. You've probably gone to school, you've probably gotten that nice job, you've probably found a nice girl to marry, you probably even have like a kid at this point, and you're looking back at your life and you're just like, yes, I'm very proud of some of the stuff I've done, but I still feel that gnawing sense of like I didn't do enough, or I just went so hard in on this one thing, just like maximizing my career or maximizing this one aspect of my life, which I thought would give me fulfillment. It was everything that everyone else was telling me to do, and it seemed like logical, but it's not led me to the point where I feel excited to get out of bed every morning and I want to attack the day. It's just like one of those things where I've gotten so used to this job or this career or like this lifestyle, but it's not fueling me anymore. I'm not feeling that fire anymore. That's something that you should listen to, because if you put that off for too long, if you give it like another 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you just bury that voice, that's the way I like to think about it. It's like an emergency signal. It's like that oil change signal in your car just going off, and it's not going off as much. It's just every time you get in the car, it just blinks for like a second, and you see it, and you're like, okay, maybe I should change my oil somewhat soon. That's what that gnawing sense of like, oh, I need to do more, I need to find something that gives me fulfillment. That's what that is. It's that emergency light going on in your car and telling you like, hey, we need to change direction, we need to fix some things up. I'm 29, and I've done very well in my life in terms of some aspects, but there are certain things where I'm just like, I'm so behind on the ball and on some of these things. But what I can say for sure, something that I'm very proud of, is that I always questioned what a lot of people were telling me in terms of life advice or relationship advice or just like some of these things. And I made decisions for myself, even though they weren't the most perfect decisions. I still looked at it, is this going to benefit me and does this work for me? Because what you'll also have realized is that people will give you advice, very well meaning advice, but it will come from a place of, this is what they want you to do. This is how they want to see you. This is what their image of you looks like, and you have to look at that and assess, is that what you want as well? because it could make sense on paper, like, hey, get this job because it'll give you XYZ, and you'll be able to make this kind of money and all this kind of stuff. But is that what you want? That's something that you have to ask yourself, and no one can answer that question for you. Yes, you can look at different people who have been in a similar boat, who are doing the things that you want to do, and look at their lifestyles and assess if that's something that you could look forward to doing. But ultimately, it comes down to, like, could you see yourself doing this every day for the next 40 years? Or something like this? Could you see yourself doing this? Because if not, then you're just putting yourself into a prison, a nicely decorated prison with like nice, gifts and treats coming in like every couple of hours, and you feel satisfied and you're good. But it's still a prison. You're still stuck. That's what I think a lot of people when they get in, a lot of men when they get into the 30s who've done well in a sense, they realize that okay, things are well, but I'm not where I still feel trapped. Like I did all these things, like I put my head down and worked and all this kind of stuff, but I'm still not the man I want to be. It really comes down to that. Are you the man you want to be? And the man in modern times, it's still people have this conception of like, oh, as long as you're making money, like you're the man. Like that's not the fact. I know people who are making upwards of 150K, but they just don't see themselves as the man. And it could be physical, they just haven't built up their physique, or it could be mental, or just emotional, or just like whatever the case is, like they feel weak in these areas which are so critical to how we are, because we're not just money making machines. That's another thing that I do want to talk about at some point, is like how men take on this narrative of like, oh, as long as you're a money making machine, as long as you are the ATM for your family, then you're good, like nothing else matters. That couldn't be farther from the truth. And maybe that's a psyop, maybe that's like something that society wants us to be, so that we're easily controlled. But that's like a separate thing. I'll talk about that at a certain point. What you have to look at is everything stems from how you perceive yourself and what your self-image is, and a layer even below that. A good book on self-image, by the way, is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maltz Maxwell, if I'm getting the name right. Definitely check it out. I read it in 2020 and it gave me so much clarity. And because I was going through so many things at that time, and it was certain passages were speaking to me so like I was like I'm thinking these exact words, like how is this book like speaking to that? So check that out for sure. An amazing book. But coming back to self-image, a layer below self-image, even deeper than that, is your physical aspect, who you are, like what you look like. And I know this is overplayed to some extent. Guys are like, oh, it's just like, why is he talking about fitness all the time? Like, you should be talking about more. But you don't understand that your fitness, your health, your vitality is the driver for everything in life. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have air in your lungs, if you don't have the ability to walk and go about life, like, what are you good for? Even if you were to look at it from like, oh, I want to be seen as an ATM, as a money making machine, you can't do that if you can't pull yourself out of bed because you have no energy. Everything boils down, it stems from your physical aspect, your physical health, your vitality. And if you want to think about it in terms of video games, because like that's something that I love playing video games, even though like it's something that a lot of men need to take a step back from. But let's use the example of like a character, like your player, your avatar. If he doesn't have any HP, you can't play the game. It's game over. If you're running around with like with two hearts and you're trying to find a boss and he's gonna knock you out every single time just by whacking you, you're gonna keep making those mistakes. You're gonna keep playing the game over and over and over again, and you're not gonna make any progress because you're running off of limited health. It's the same thing in life. If you don't take care of how you look, how you show up as a man, how much you develop your strength, your resistance, your cardiovascular ability, just your mental state. Like your mental state is so impacted by your clarity, like getting sunlight, getting fresh air into your lungs, doing some push-ups, like just basic stuff. This is not like a workout program by any means. Like this is just basic stuff that every man should be doing. Even less like sitting in a well-lit room, like even that makes a huge difference to how you operate. So it all comes back to this point of if you're in your 30s and you are not where you want to be, you're not the complete picture of who you want to be, then you need to take action on that like ASAP. It's just like it's so foundational, it's so like basic, and everyone who is listening to this, um unless you're like, in your 60s, or like, you're 16 or something, then maybe this doesn't apply to you as much. But if you're a male in his prime, then what I'm saying makes sense. There's so much untapped potential we have as men, and as people, as in general, that it's a disservice for us to not push the boundaries in terms of what we can do. Not just in terms of money, not just in terms of having shiny objects and flashy stuff to show off to our friends and stuff. Just about living authentically, being in flow with life, having that sense of purpose. Like, okay, like what I'm doing every single day is helping people. It's bringing positive impact to the world, and I can put my head, down at night on my pillow, knowing that I gave it my all, and I'll get back up, and do it all over again, because what I'm doing is so important. And every moment that I waste, every moment that's not utilized to its max, is a wasted opportunity, and it's me showing ungratefulness, ingratitude to God, because this is something that I also want to talk about from an Islamic perspective, that Allah, when He was creating the universe, when He said, and when He put creation into motion, He put you as part of the picture. He in His divine plan, this universe would not be complete without you in it. Like it's a true fact. Like this universe would be incomplete. God's plan would be incomplete without you in it right now. Everything in your life, everything that you have dealt with, everything that you've accomplished, everything you've done, is all been part of God's plan. You are supposed to be here. You're supposed to be part of this plan. You're supposed to be working in this. So for you to throw away your life and just be like, oh, like let me just, I'm content with how I am, and it's fine. Like my family's good, and like no one's bothering me. Like I can pay all my stuff. I can go out to eat a couple of times a week. Like, what are you doing? You you're 40 pounds overweight. You you have brain fog all the time. You are scared to take your shirt off because you're like, oh, like I don't want to, whatever. Like I don't want to, even if it's just in front of friends, or just even in front of yourself, just in front of the mirror. You're just like, I don't want to look at how I look because I haven't taken care of myself. No one compliments me on anything besides like, oh, like you have a nice job, and you have a nice car. But no one compliments like, oh, like he looks like he can bench like a bunch of. Take away the superficial aspects of it. Truly listen to what I'm trying to tell you, and don't put your own perception on this. Like trying to really try to dive deep behind the words I'm trying to tell you. You are not living up to your fullest potential, and that is an act of ingratitude to God. Like that's like telling Allah that you gave me all this. You gave me a well functioning body, a healthy, sane mind. You put me in a safe society where I have freedom. If you live in a even if you live in a society which is not the most free, you still have agency over what your own actions are. And even if not that, you have agency over your own mindset. That's always within your control. No one can get in between your ears. Like you are by living less than your potential, you're telling God that I'm not going to make the use of the gifts you gave me. I It's like someone giving you such a precious gift. They crafted it for you personally, and you're just like, cool, but like I don't really want this. Like I'm cool with like this crappy thing that I have going on for myself. Would that person give you any more gifts? They'd be like, I made this. I put time into this. I put their name on it. I carved it into this gift, and they don't want it. I'm not gonna give them any more. Like, why should I? And if you think that the laws of nature, the laws of the universe are any different, then you're mistaken. Allah, God, only gives to those who make the most of what they have. He gives them more. He gives more to people who give because He knows that this person is utilizing the gift to its max and he's giving it to others. He's in flow. So to help move the universe forward, help move my plan forward. And I can't. No one can speak for God. What I'm just trying to convey a message. I'm trying to convey what goes on. Let's. This person receives more because they give more, and they are that force of good in the world. So if you're a man, I don't care what age you are at this point. It's just like this message should shake you up and resonate with you. Do more. You can always do more. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're making like half a million a month. I don't care if you're in the most jacked position, jacked physique ever. You can always maximize your potential. Maybe it's not in that area that you've dedicated 10 years into, but maybe it's something that you've been putting off for way too long. Look at your life and just understand that there's so much more to be done. And as a man, as a spiritually aligned man, that's what I want us to be. I want us to be spiritually aligned because that goes that goes beyond the physicality, that goes beyond all of this programming and all these messages that we are fed. Being spiritually aligned, it's the nexus, it's the seed that everything flows from. Because if we don't have that, then you see it for yourself. People are they are disoriented. They have no direction in life. They think believing in God is like this fairy tale that it's not applicable anymore. They think that they can just act on their whims and their desires and everything's gonna be fine because like no one can tell me what to do. We're seeing the fruits of that, and it's not good at all. People are more unhappy, more depressed, more anxious, more misaligned than they've ever been. And the key to bringing that back and to becoming whole again is not physicality, it's not mental, it's not emotional, it's not money, it's spiritual, because that's what we are at the end of the day. If we are spiritually aligned, we are spiritually aligned with God, and we are acting in accordance with divine laws, then everything will work out. Because you'll know at the end of the day, no matter how bad your day went or how bad your life has been, you'll understand that I know who I am as a person, as a human being. I know who I am. I know who God is, and everything that I need to fix my life in the external realm will flow from this. Because if this is messed up, then I don't care like how good of a professional you are, like how what you can do. You'll always feel this hole in your life. You're just like, I'm doing so much, but like I don't feel complete. There's something missing, and that's the key. That's a key for a lot of people, for a lot of men especially. It's like we don't feel fulfilled because we are not acting from a place of authenticity and from a place of understanding that this living in accordance with divine laws is the way forward. Everything flows from that. I'm not saying that you need to become a monk. I'm not saying you need to just cut off your life and just just disappear from the world. I'm not saying you need to do that. What I am saying is that everything that you were looking for, that fulfillment, that drive, that passion for life again, that you probably had when you were 15, 16, or even you were 11 or 12, and you just dreamt up these big dreams of what you would do in life and how your life would look like and what you'd be doing, and you'd be having so much fun and just so much, you'd be in flow all the time. It comes from that, because once someone gets back into their natural alignment as a human being, then you find joy. You find joy in everything. I can't say I'm the most spiritually aligned person. If anyone were to proclaim that, I'd say they're lying. But what I would say is that when I've had those moments where I'm just like so grateful and so thankful for everything in my life, even for the misfortunes, even for the mistakes I've made, I'm just looking at simple things. Like, I just see things start happening in my life where I'm just like, yes, this didn't go this way, but it led to this opportunity, or it led to this conversation, it led to this encounter, and I got to make the most of it because I am thankful to Allah, and I can speak to my experiences, I can share something useful to someone, and everything starts working, and you find joy in that because you're like, I'm useful. I'm making use of the gifts that God has given me. Like, it's so pure and so wholesome. When you get to that point, like, yes, we're supposed to be masculine men, and you're supposed to like be pushing hard and stuff and be aggressive and stuff. But at the end of the day, there is a part of us which wants to feel whole and complete and almost be in that childlike state internally. Maybe we have to put on a stern face for our families and for our community and just for the people in our lives, because things might not be as rosy as we would like them to be. But internally, you know that I'm so grateful to be where I am right now, regardless of what has happened, and I can be in flow, and I can operate from a place of abundance that can then fix these problems that I have in my life. Getting to that point, having that fulfillment, being in that state, like that's something to strive for. That's something to seek out, because if you haven't felt that, if you felt this void for a long time, then what are you doing? That's like the number one mission you have in your life, is like getting back to that state. And yes, the problems in our life, the stress, the struggle, all this kind of stuff, it does weigh down on us. I'm not saying, finding your purpose or being spiritually aligned will fix that overnight. I'm not saying that at all. But it'll give you that peace of mind of like, okay, I know who I am. Now, no matter how long it takes or how much effort I need to put in, or how much you need to push against the external world, I know the wellspring I'm operating from is limitless, because God is limitless. He's unlimited. The gifts he gives is unlimited. Even in the Quran, it says, it talks at certain points, بِغَيْرِ hisab. That's a phrase in the Quran, without measure. When he gives to certain people in the afterlife or even in this life, بِغَيْرِ hisab, without measure. Because that's possible for Allah. He can give without measure, without any accountability, without any, just like no limits. That's what you can tap into once you come back to your natural state. So I don't want to drag this video on too long. I could talk about all these different tactical stuff that you could be doing. Um, I just want to leave it here. Take this video, listen to it on repeat. If you found this helpful, if it woke you up, give you a sense of like, okay, I need to look at my life and what am I doing, and am I being the man that I need to be, and run with it. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and kill it. You got this, guys.